Okay, so this is what my Cisco Voice Lab looks like at home, and what I have, it's connected from my home phone line, goes to my Cisco voice router. This is a 3725 router. I had to buy some components in order to voice enable it. I had actually bought this router thinking I was getting integrated services router, but it turned out to be just a module access router. So I wanted to make full use of it, seeing that it had capability for voice. So I went ahead and bought some components. This was the NM2V, 400 slots, and this NM2V contains what is called DSPs. I think it has one DSP. This NMV contains one DSP, which is needed to make conversion from that analog to digital. So it contains that. It also contains a couple FXS ports and couple FXO ports. So these are two cards that I have in addition to the NM2V. So the FXS and FXO cards really won't work, or they won't make any difference if you don't have a module with DSPs to help you to make that conversion. So you can't make calls at all using your FXS to FXO or FXO to FXS if there's no DSP modules in your router. So in addition to this, I also went ahead and I bought a Cisco 1760 router, which turned out I need to get some more RAM in order to install a more recent version of Cisco iOS IP voice. Which brings me to another topic. These routers need to be running the IP voice iOS type, and each version can be different in terms of the type of IP phones that are supported. For example, the one that I had by default on the iOS 760 did not support the Cisco IPC, or Cisco IP communicator was not supported, so I needed to get some more RAM for this, and also upgrade the iOS to a later version. So when you upgrade the iOS, you're also in effect upgrading Cisco CME, Cisco Call Manager Express, right? Which comes with the iOS, and this has support for IP phones. So you can actually have IP phones with just Cisco Management Express router, and they will work just fine, and you will be able to call between your analog phones and your voice over IP phones without needing a full-blown CUCM server. You can just use CME, which we'll look at in a later in a bit. You can just have a router with CME running the telephony service, which we'll look at in a bit. So once you run a telephonic service command on a IP voice iOS, it basically enables that CME function, which gives you voice over IP capability. Right? So to recap, the FXS and FXO ports, your PSTN line goes into your FXO port, and your analog phone goes into your FXS port. Alright. In order for your analog phone to be able to dial out, and in order to have incoming calls to be able to go to your analog phone, for example, you need to create what is called dial pairs in your IP voice iOS. This is basically creating route patterns based on what digits that you dial. You then route based on those digits. So it's sort of like IP routing in a sense. It's looking for the best match to know where to send that call. Alright. So moving on from the voice gateway, this is connected to a switch, and in that switch, connected to that switch is also my CUCM, full communications, Cisco Unified Communications Manager server. This is running version 6, and for voicemail we have Cisco Unity Connection version 6, both installed from the same bootable media. You don't need the CU, you need the CU however if you're running voicemail. So as we explained before, you don't need CME if you have CUCM. This can also provide VoIP capability, so you can use your IP phones on the network. You can even, in fact, integrate CUCM with the voice gateway. For example, if you want an IP phone to be able to call one of your analog extensions, you can have that set up. You can have this voice gateway installed as a gateway on your CUCM server, which we'll look at in a little bit. And also you can have analog phone dial IP phone by setting up a gateway on your router, on your voice gateway to the CUCM server based on the extension or the dial pattern that is entered. So it's all based on dial patterns, which we'll look at shortly.